Freaking out, okay. Now they should hear you. I sure hope. We're out of Blog Talk. I got rid of them. Skype buried it when we hooked you. Why wouldn't we hear you? Hello, hello. Oh my God, why ain't that working? Where is my settings for this? This is getting ridiculous. I haven't got no audio on your side for whatever reason. Okay, this time they should hear you.
And we'll see.
Okay, it says we're live.
It says we're live.
How about now? Now you hear Jerry's talk, Jerry.
It says we're live. Yeah, we're good.
How about now? Now you hear Jerry's talk, Jerry.
All right. Put your mic down a little bit, Bill, and bring my mic up just a little bit. All right. Put your mic down a little bit, Bill, and bring my mic up just a little bit. All right. Looks good. Hold on. Talk.
Okay. Okay, I would mute your mic on your in the show.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
So we don't get the feedback.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, now we should be there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. If anybody's listening, Bill is still way too loud.
Well, right? Bill's gonna turn Bill down, hopefully. How about now? Is that any better?
It only taken us a good 10 minutes to figure this out.
Well, right when we had it figured out, Skype had to go update and change their entire platform. And now they've changed their entire platform. When I added Jerry to the show, the add button was gone. So now I had to invite him. So then when I invited him, it automatically muted Blog Talk. And then when I canceled Blog Talk, now I had to close everything out, including the show, and start all over in order to get his sound in here.
If anybody hears any problems with the sound, please let us know, because I had to turn down the playback so it won't.
Well, I'm afraid to try to adjust the settings on Skype, because then I'm going to have to leave the video and then they won't see us.
No, I think we're good. Hey, well, everybody out there, they should be impressed that me and Bill, we got some duct tape and some old coat hangers, and we fixed the system where we now have video while we're going live. So that's a very impressive move for me and Bill, that we were able to move to this new day and age where we have video.
Okay. Well, they said to turn Jerry up, so I did. And I turned Bill down. Now they can tell me how it is now.
Okay. Well, we can barely hear you. Okay. What about...
Well, you know how we got that delay? So give it that second. I reset it.
I would set that. You might want to max me out if they can't hear me. But I'm going to listen myself. That way I know whether or not we could be heard. But I can hear myself. I can hear myself fine. You know. But turn all the gains up for Jerry. And Bill, turn all yours medium to low.
Okay, Jerry's desktop. I'm Mike, so I turn that to there. Yeah. Jerry to there. Now we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I don't hear your mic going down at all. So, it may have to be one of those things where you just have to leave it up, and Bill might
I can't totally adjust it. It could be through Skype, but I can't totally adjust it on Skype because of their damn update.
Well, I mean, what do you want me to
do? I'm about to remove Skype off my computer, put it back on, and hope I don't get the update. They forced that update on me, and this is what it done. It changed the entire platform, changed all the settings.
Well, why don't you do this, Mike? If you can't adjust your mic so much, Bill, take your mic. Oh, you can't move it further away because it's built into the camera. Oh
Well,
shit!
I could
All
move the
right.
camera further away, but then I won't be in the show. I could remove
Yeah,
myself.
I mean, why don't you just leave, Bill?
Yeah, that's a good idea. They just want me to
Just
leave. I
leave.
know. They updated my Skype. They played the platform all over the place, and everything's new now. And you can't just go to the settings without leaving the cam. And to leave the cam, that means we're leaving the show. I mean, they really messed it up. Right after I had it all going perfect, they sent me this fantastic update and fucked it all up.
Oh yeah, me and Bill spent hours, working this all out, and then the next day, all of a sudden, he gets an update.
Oh yeah, they
But
forced it on me. I mean, I didn't have no say so. It just automatically went to it.
well, I mean, we're close enough. I mean, I listened to it; it sounds pretty good. Um, it's not going to be perfect. This is the first time we're doing live video on our live feed, so
I
we'll
had to
work the
cancel
kinks.
the blog talk version of the show because until I can figure out how to add both, maybe what I got to do is already add both in. I don't know yet. I'll have to try that the next time we're live.
Yeah,
Maybe tomorrow or whatever. Jerry will get time. We'll do another test show.
we could do that. We'll figure it out.
Because
We'll
we're going to
somehow
play
figure it
around
out.
to figure out because of Skype, right? When we had it all worked
Yeah.
out, Skype did that shit, and now everything's
You want
changed.
you want to know what will fix this part of this problem? Because I've been around audio studios for a long time when I was younger. Your earphones are turned up too high.
I got no way of
Right.
turning my earphones down or up. There's no volume on them.
Well, then would you try taking them off your ear a little bit, and then they won't be as loud because people talk louder because they can't hear their voice.
Well,
That's the
that
reason
could
why people
be.
talk.
How's
When
that?
people can't, yeah,
I
yes,
pulled one,
exactly.
I pulled one part way
Yeah,
off.
yeah, because when people can't hear their own voice, their voice goes right up. It's just a natural thing that people do, and that happens. So it's not your fault, because it's like your mind is trying to tell you,
Ask Jerry why
I
he's
can't hear
smoking.
myself.
Let me show you why he's smoking, okay?
I smoke. What do you want me to do? I'm not quitting.
There you go. See, I
Yeah,
showed
people
him why you're smoking. See that? There you go. That's why he's
yeah,
smoking.
we can get into and we can get into why a lot of people smoke this day and age, and that was because of Edward Bernays. Back in the day when smoking was actually down, smoking sales were down. In the 40s. So he started a campaign called the Liberty Torch, and what he did is he hired models to run
Hold
all
on. I
over.
should roll my own. I'm seeing this. This person
Yeah, yeah.
told me I should roll my own cigarettes. I got
Oh,
a
you
news
do.
flash for you. I do. And so does Jerry.
we're what part of work we had to put this together with coat hangers and duct tape. We don't got no money. We're not getting that shill money. We don't have all that fancy equipment where you can just push a button. We don't have producers working behind the scenes to make sure everything looks right and everything's perfect. We literally, well, not literally, but we, duct tape and hangers is how we put this show together. That's about all we had. You
That's
know,
it. And now Blog
that's
Talk's canceled for tonight, so don't try to call in because I had to cancel it just to be here. Next time when Jerry and I go live on Blog Talk, hopefully we'll have the kinks worked out. We'll be able to be in both places.
yeah.
This
Well,
update with Skype really messed things up right after we had it worked out.
but people gotta understand we made a huge leap here that we're doing video. We went from having shitty audio to having halfway decent. I know there's some people are complaining about the volume here and there, but we'll work that out. But we made a huge leap from shitty audio to now video and a not so mumbo jumboed audio. So we did make an improvement, and we'll make an improvement each time we do something. Every time, every show is going to get better.
Yeah, we just
'Cause,
had to work out the kinks.
yeah,
The
yes,
update threw a whole new bunch of kinks at me, and now we got to go through all them.
yeah. People got to remember out there. Bill's an old man. He's using a computer. That's like
Oh man, I'm an old
yeah.
man. Dang. You had to remind me. Darn.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that today. I was talking. I sent a message to Jim Fester, and I was like, "Oh, just checking in here, because I worry about you old fogies." Yeah. Of course, I didn't get a response after that, but I do worry about all you guys. There are very few people out there in the truth community that are, any bit trustworthy anymore. So the ones that we do have, like you, Bill, we got to make sure, we take care of you,
Well.
show you some respect.
So we'll stream in one place tonight instead of two because of what I can't say. But go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah.
You started
Yeah.
on a
Well,
topic and then we got sidetracked. So let's unsidetrack ourselves and I'll move on.
I don't even remember what topic we were talking about.
Was it MK Ultra? Oh, no, that was another topic. I mean, that's a
That's
big one,
MK Ultra. MK Ultra is basically the topic that never ends. Because it's a topic that covers so much of everything. It's somehow every time you go down a rabbit hole or research something or whatever it is, there's a link to MK Ultra or people that were involved with MK Ultra some way or another. It's crazy. And just like I was reading today. Okay, and it's something I've known about for a long time. We know that Aldous Huxley was the father of MK Ultra. Okay, a Fabian socialist. The ones that have the logo with the wolf in sheep's clothing. They like to warn people. So in other words, a Fabian, this is what Fabians are famous for, is they'll warn you about exactly what they are doing. So, in other words, a Fabian socialist might be, changing, pushing policy to change healthcare that hurts the senior citizens. And the Fabian would be pushing that in the back scenes, would go out to the public. Those damn politicians are going after our senior citizens. That's what a Fabian does. So the Fabian socialist is the ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing, hence the logo, the wolf in sheep's clothing. Now we have Aldous Huxley, who's the Fabian and the father of MK Ultra. Well, believe it or not, he was George Orwell's tutor, French tutor. And, so we have Aldous Huxley, who was George Orwell's advisor. Orwell's part of the Fabians. And he was the father of MK Ultra. So the father of MK Ultra is George Orwell's tutor, right? And people still have trouble understanding that George Orwell wasn't warning us. He was part of the club that was doing that to us. He was basically telling the public what his people are going to do to the future, because that's what these people do. And it's not as friendly as what most people think.
It isn't.
It is what it isn't. And that's the thing that people don't understand about these people that are lifetime actors. Where they're basically not really themselves. They play a part for the, whatever you want to call them, deep state, MK Ultra, elites, blah 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 blah, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. They spend their whole life playing a bullshit part, and people trust too much in society. So when you have these lifetime actors that are just basically deceiving the public, pretending you're to be their friend, David Icke, Alex Jones, when you come across people like this, where literally they're spending their whole life bullshitting the public, giving you that 70% truth so they can, get you to believe the 30% of the lie that they need you to believe. And it's a problem that people have, that they falsely trust these people. And that's the same thing with these, shills. People don't understand, how can there be so many of them or whatever. When there was back in the day where it was Aldous Huxley and H.G. Wells, and, there's one and two of them. Well, they are, these people that are doing these things, that did these things way back in the day, and they're next generations of them that are the ones that are doing this today. They understand we live in a high technology age, and there's, so many different, branches that need to be covered. The right wing part of the alternative media, the semi-progressive part of the alternative media, the Christian part of the alternative media, the flat Earth part of the alternative media. So there's so many different branches. So they need so many different shills, and they have them. I mean, just because they had one or two back in the 50s doesn't mean that they wouldn't hire 1,000 for today to deal with the situation that they have and are dealing with for today.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just something that people got to understand. People need to stop falsely believing in the. And it's crazy. Me and Bill sometimes I don't know if I want to get into too much what we've been investigating, because I mean I still want to. I'd like to try and investigate more before some of that some of that. I wouldn't call it rabbit hole because we've actually confirmed things that were intense. I just don't want to lose any of that. Although I think I took enough notes that it would be hard for them to hide anything. Now that I got it on handwritten paper. But Bill made a
Sometimes you
great
look
find.
into something and you keep looking into something, and when you're not planning on finding something, you find something.
Yeah. Well, it's a simple case of, it was an unintentional walk away from it. They say sometimes you got to walk away from it to come back and give new eyes on it. Well, me and Bill unintentionally walked away from something we've been researching a while back, and we just kind of like fizzled out on it, and then something brought it back today, and bam, we hit a ton. We hit a jackpot and a half. We we hit the mother load of. The worst part of it was scary because it confirmed. We finally got confirmation that that these things are really happening. It's not saying, hey, somebody looks like MK Ultra. Well, we can nail them, that person down to where they got the MK Ultra, and that's not a question that it happened. We can nail down the doctors that were involved in the MK, and doing it to them. And we still want more information. So I'm not even sure. I mean, that's up to Bill whether or not we want to, start dishing all that out. But
I wouldn't dish it
that
all out yet. I mean, we could give them a little bit, but I wouldn't dish it out. I wouldn't say no names
yeah,
yet. That's
yeah, I
for
wouldn't say no
sure.
names either. Yeah, I think we should stay away from the names because I don't want to lose that. It's been hard enough to track as it is, and we finally got something that actually proves. And you know what the worst part is? Like, I mean, you get excited at first because, oh man, we finally found the proof. The proof. It's not a question of, well, that guy looks like MK Ultra. I bet they had MK. But when you have documentation to where they were, the place and the doctors that did it, that's it. You have it. So, I mean, that's why we don't want to give away the names and stuff because, there's still a lot of information that can be got out of this, and this can run into so many more things because this is a more recent case of evidence on, the top part is you can go back into the early days of MK Ultra, the old hospitals, Bethesda, Maryland, the Stanford Research Institute, and all those places. And the problem is trying to get information from the more recent MK Ultra programs, and that's really hard to do. So when you hit a jackpot like that, you don't really want to lose it.
No.
And not yet. Let's try and get as much as we can out of it, so we can present people with some great information,
Well,
and maybe it'll make a change.
the one thing I would say about it is, it's interesting knowing it's a certain person that is implementing stuff that's MK Ultra into the public school system.
Oh my God! Yeah, well,
That
don't go
part
that
is
far.
interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, Bill's right. I mean, the proof is there that these the people that implemented these programs are now advising the education system. I'll just put it like that. I'm not going to go into deals, what part of
Yes.
the education system, this, that, or anything else. But, and it's always been kind of suspected, where you research these people that are involved in these things and say, man, they somehow are bringing the MK Ultra over here. They're doing this or that. Well, now we actually have proof that they are, there are MK Ultra doctors or whatever, that they are advising our education system. So, but why would they want to do that? Why would they want to do that? Because they want to brainwash your kids, and there's not a goddamn person out there doing anything to stop them.
That's
And
exactly
that's
it.
the worst part. And you know what the worst part is because this is not, the latest revelation from Q or the latest WikiLeaks or the latest, Russian fiasco, nobody's actually really even going to give a shit about it. Honestly, Bill, you and I both know that. I love it when sometimes we get some great information, and then it's like the other. It was it yesterday and today. Somebody came and they came and showed me that they did some work on the Fetzer Institute because of, or the Fetzer Trust because of work that we did, and I thought that was awesome. That they heard it and wanted to learn more, and they did. But it's very seldom that people actually care about the important stuff.
Well, if they can take the stuff that we run into and they can go research it for themselves, I'm always much happier with that person, because when you research it for yourself, then you're going to see for your own self and can base your own opinion on what you're seeing. And you never know. You might run into stuff that we didn't run into. You may learn something we don't know yet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why I always ask. It's not like this stuff I don't really want to talk about until we really get more. But when it comes to some of these things we're researching, if you ask a lot of my friends, I'm constantly asking. If you come across something from this, area that we're looking at or that area, let me know. I'm interested. I want to see people researching these things. I do, because trust me. When you got so many things, on the plate, it's tough to stay centered and go after what you need to go after. So any help is great. And I'd like, to me, I don't care who shares the information when we get the right information. I want the shit out there. When it comes down to, I said to somebody today, people are arguing over, well, Noah Paulsner, is he this kid or is he that kid or this? I said, I don't give a shit who he is. I said, I want to put somebody in jail. So I'm not police or anything like that. I can't, lock them up. I want something that we can make public that will force them to act on. I want to see these people, whether it was Sandy Hook, the Pulse nightclub, or whatever bullshit it was. I want to see somebody put in jail for this. I want to see somebody punished for this, because what they did to this country is treason, and that's what I want. So I don't really care about arguing over who this person or that person. I want to, find somebody and find enough about something they've done or what they've done, and the documentation for it, the evidence for it, something that can be brought where a court can't turn their eyes, where they have no choice. They have to act on it. That's what I want. I want to put these people in the can. I want them locked up. I want the key thrown away. And, hopefully they're not fed and they slowly starve.
Accountability.
And then
yep. Accountability. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, and we don't see much of that anymore. Well, and that is a huge problem. And especially when we see with the MK Ultra program and everything else, a lot of it was all based in social engineering to degrade society. What kind of example is that for? There are some youth I've come across that are awake. So what kind of example is that for them when they see that these people are committing such crimes and there's no accountability, zero whatsoever?
That's encouragement. You know what that really does?
Yeah, it is encouragement.
It encourages them that, hey, look what I can get by with. Meanwhile, if you did even a quarter of what they were doing, you'd be locked up immediately.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They are, when we talk, this is the double-edged sword where it comes in with the pedophilia shit and the sex crimes and all this and that, okay? The double-edged sword is they understand when stuff is in public and in the public's eye, it's repetition and it's telling people, it's making it an acceptable practice, all right? Even though it's always being talked about in a negative light and whatnot, but the subconscious of young people, it's becoming numb to them, this whole idea. So the idea that, we're going to have a future generation that thinks there's no accountability, that the more you lie to the public, you're going to get away with more. The more money you steal, the more you get away with more. And that there's no accountability for raping children, all this shit, and it's sickening. It's really sickening that they destroyed society like this. It really is. It's just sometimes one thing that really hits me because the social engineering aspect of what's going on right now is just unbelievable. I mean, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine being the youth of today. Growing up, I mean, people don't go outside. They don't go out with their friends anymore. Even if they do, they're always worried about this, that, or the other thing. You know, kids aren't allowed to pretty much have fun anymore unless they're playing video games, being brainwashed all day. The music is just totally, you know, uh, degrading their minds into shit. I mean, you know,
Yes.
it's you don't think it was planned for, like you say, Bill, well, like Miley Cyrus. We got the nice, prim and proper, well behaved child, and then transforms into this big giant slut. And it's basically telling it's teaching these people, yeah, as they grow up, this is why I transform into shit. This is what's cool. You know, and these are lifetime actors. Miley Cyrus is going to be a lifetime actor. If she's been since she was a kid to now, she's a lifetime actor. Probably doesn't
Mm-hmm.
even know who she really is.
Hey, carry us on a minute. My water pills are kicking me in the you know
All
what.
right. Yeah. But I mean, just imagine somebody like Miley Cyrus. I mean, what would people out there think of their father not saying anything as you stroke a big giant penis on the stage? One of those blow up ones like they have in Miley Cyrus's, videos and stuff like that. I mean, what would I couldn't imagine being a young girl and your father being okay with that? What does that say about you? It's kind of a crazy thing. You know, I can't even imagine being one of these kids that turned into a lifetime actor. If if Miley Cyrus her whole life, she's been told to do this, told to behave this way, told what to say, told how to act. You know, who is she? Does she even know who she is? And for somebody like that, even if they got help at this point, could you bring the real Miley Cyrus back? Since there never has been a real Miley Cyrus, there's been the person they created as Miley Cyrus. And and then going back to the father, how that I still can't understand what father on the planet would allow their daughter to do what she does. Even if she's older than 18. I'm sorry, if I had a daughter doing something like that on a stage or in public, I'd flip the hell out. Who wouldn't? It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. But that's the day and age we're in. It's scary, you know. And these lifetime actors do exist. They're most of them are creations of MK Ultra, and we're finding out where these modern day actors had it done. And let me tell you something. It's scary when you hear the real life stories of what went on in these places. Is not cool at all. All right, who's the shill? All right, I see the word shill coming out here, Bill. I don't know who's the shill. You went away for 2 seconds, and I got the word shill on the screen already.
Oh well, let's see. Cool. Not a
Not
shill,
a shill.
right?
Yeah, I'm no shill. Uh, yeah, well, that's the tough thing about lifetime actors. We have some, people trust so much. Most of the shills don't even know they're shills. That's the thing. I don't know how many times I've told you. First step of MK Ultra: train their brains and not know they are MK Ultra.
That would be exactly it. Well, you can't brainwash somebody and tell them,
Excuse me.
I'm going to brainwash you. You don't mind, do you? Do you really think you're going to get by with telling them I'm going to brainwash you and then you're going to get by with it?
Yeah,
No. The
it
idea
wouldn't
of
work.
brainwashing is to not tell you that they're going to brainwash you and to convince you of something that isn't so.
And a lot of times, from what I'm reading, and the way they used to do it, I don't know. I'm not sure. It's tough to find out present day stuff. We get bits and pieces here and there. from what I understand, because a lot of, all the way through from the beginning days of MK Ultra all the way through the 70s, 80s, the trauma was very intense in the MK Ultra program, and we got to understand that MK Ultra had 100 and I think 58 projects or 159 projects, something like that, are the ones that they admitted to or whatever. I'm sure there's probably lots more, but within those projects, it wasn't just the taped back dies and the electrodes to the heads. There were social, there were the Grateful Dead acid tests. There were all this and that, all kinds of different tests like that. The psychedelics test, all these bullshit programs. So, some of them are the social engineering and some are the insane ones. But when you get to the lifetime actors or some of these people that have really gone through the rigmarole or whatever you want to call it, the trauma that they, we're reading some today, Bill, right? And it was just, some of the trauma was insane. Just insane what they do to people to create the trauma. Insane what they do to people to create the trauma.
It is.
And from what I've read is once they do create that trauma and once they bring them into the back room and do their programming, they leave them with the happy thought to mask the trauma that they caused. You got to delete this guy. Just delete, block Jubba Evans.
That's just complete retardedness.
Shills are showing up.
Oh, that guy was gone the minute I seen what they were writing.
Yeah, I have an idea who it was too. But they come out anyway, and that's the This is why sometimes I'm like, why do I do? I mean, I'm at the point where now I do the research. I think somewhat, for my own self, because I want to know in a quest. There is a certain extent to, and there are, and I do it for a lot of the few great people that are out there. So many times doing my research, when you come across the elite talking about how stupid the public is and how useless the public is, there's people like that come along that proves them right.
Well, they are. Even though I kicked the person out of the show, the simple answer is this: the disability I collect is based on my work credits for all the money I paid in. I worked my whole life for everything. I never got a government assistance for anything. And when my health went to where I couldn't work no more, they took money out of my pay, my labor, my whole life. And that's the money I collected on. So I'm only collecting on the money they took from me to begin with.
And it's really nobody else's business, anyways.
No, it isn't. It's just, that is the case.
Well, that's what, that's how you know somebody's a shill, because their procedure is discredit, ridicule, repeat. And that's what they're taught. So, when you start seeing somebody that's trying to discredit somebody over and over again and ridicule them over and over again without actually giving you intelligent, conversation, and they keep on just repeating that, I mean, that's an obvious shill. Not only that's an obvious shill, that's most likely a government shill. You come on. That, who that's? Rubber Wilbur. Yeah, he already said it at the beginning.
Well, you know what happens when you pull this? Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it? He usually comes back 4 times, right? So
well, that was, what can I say? If you trolls want to come in here and troll, you can, but I can remove you faster than you could create a new account. But
it's
go
the
ahead.
Same guy, though. Yeah, it's the same guy. We know who it is. It's the same guy. It's the same guy. He's going to come back 2 more times at least. Because he, every time he creates these accounts, he creates like 3 or 4 of them, and then bam, so he's going to come right back. I'm waiting. The next one he's gonna say something about, hey, go Alex Jones, because he always says something stupid like that.
Oh yeah.
So that's crazy. It's crazy, but what are you gonna do? It's sad. That's people like that. You don't want to fuck the shills. Ignore them. This is what they want. Well, yeah, they want the attention. They want the. That's true. They're right. She's totally right.
Thinking about 2 seconds
He's totally
words,
right. Yeah, they want the attention. That's what they want. They want people to pay attention to them. That's why with my YouTube and with all my other video places in 153, I turned off all my comments because it's a waste of time. It's like even whether it's deleting them or even reading them, I'm like, really? I don't have enough time. I actually enjoy, like, me and Bill today. I mean, I'm not sure if Bill always has fun, but Bill opened up a big hole for us to climb down, and I enjoy it. Bill knows. He sees when I start slipping into it. I'm just gonna go. I'm just jamming. All right, we're gonna get all this information. So I mean, I enjoy digging into this stuff rather than I'm not saying that every comment is bullshit, but I mean it's and I appreciate the ones that say, oh, thank you for this or thank you for that and all that stuff. That's great. But I would love more time to dig down the hole and actually find out something.
I don't mind falling down holes. Every now and again, I stumble into a hole and I fall to the bottom and I have to climb my way out.
That was a good one today. That was an awesome one. That was a real good one. And of course, it was one you found. So.
I fell into it. What can I say? I was yelling, Jerry, throw me down the ladder. Jerry says, no, I'm coming down with you. Fine, bring a light, candle, something.
Explosives. Blow our way out. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Got a lot of rabbit holes in this book. A lot of them.
Well, how many people realize that they're actually being programmed?
I don't. I think people they understand that there's television that programs them and can be influencing their mind. I don't think they really understand that their whole life has been programmed. And when me saying that, there's so many people that just won't understand the scope of actually what went on. They really, truly don't understand the whole scope of what went on. And, that's the tough part because there's so much of their programming that people don't even realize is their programming. And how they did it, how they pulled it off, and how long it's actually been going on. When you start tracing, mind control, it doesn't stop with MK Ultra, and it doesn't start with MK Ultra. You need to start tracing back through this, the secret societies in England, and you need to start tracing back, with the Jesuits and through Italy into Rome. And then the Hassins, the assassins, that they taught different techniques to some of these Sumerians and to the Jesuits and Templars, and they just get passed on, and it goes back. Buddhism. What that's another thing people have trouble with because when I say something like the Dalai Lama is a CIA agent, people are going to say you're freaking crazy. You're gonna. It doesn't matter, if you actually did the research on it. He's connected to the CIA 7 ways of Sunday. There's just no matter which way you look at it, the man is a CIA asset.
Yeah.
But nobody will admit that. And then when you try to explain, well, what is Buddhism? Buddhism is a form of mind control. What do you think they practice? Where they, they're practicing the I mean, if you look through the ancient research, the ancient wisdom, those are different mind control techniques, different techniques for controlling the mind. That's what all that shit is. All that New Age crap. They love Buddhist mind control. I get it. Yeah, it's the same guy again.
I'm ignoring it.
uh, if it all, it just, well, I mean, delete it. If I can delete it, make him come back with his fourth one, because he's only got one more. He's only got one more in the pocket. Make him come back with it. Make him work for it.
There, he said explain it, so I did. See, it's
Yeah,
explained.
yeah. He's
It's
got
all
one more.
explained now. Yep, I explained it for him.
He's got. I think he's. Usually, what is it? Four that he comes back with. So he's got one more that he's going to try and come back with. And he probably understands if he uses that one, that means he's actually going to go. One of his pocket, sock accounts. And once he uses that, if it gets deleted, that means he's going to have to go make a whole nother one. So
I'll take him a while.
yeah. So, let him come back with that one, and then maybe delete that one, and then make him go work for that sock account again. If we're lucky, he only had 3 sock accounts this time. Yeah. And that's another thing, too. When you see lots of sock accounts, you can read. I had it. Well, I can't remember where I have it real quick, but the government documentation around 2008 or 2010, somewhere in that range, the Signal Corps came up with a program where they're creating 30 different personalities or sock accounts for each individual, and they're actually even developing backstories. So this, so when they're giving these to people, they're given, each person like 30 accounts, and they all have backstories on them. So these people could play different parts. I'm not even sure how these, listen, I have enough trouble being Jerry. I don't know how these people, go around pretending to be 15 different people. That's a sign in itself that the people are mentally ill. Because if you can pretend you're more than, who wants to be more than one person?
They want to be Sybil. They watched the movie Sybil, and they got jealous because they wanted to be Sybil.
Which I said before, the whole Sybil story came out of the Kalamazoo Mental Hospital, and it was based on a psychiatrist in Kalamazoo that was an MK Ultra scientist, and the whole story was fake. Even though that really, that those kind of things may possibly be able to happen, but the whole story of Sybil was basically created. It was a false flag. Kalamazoo has been doing false flags for a long time, and they're all somehow involved with MK Ultra. I wonder how that is. That city really needs to get exposed for their MK Ultra program. They got it bad.
Well, it's just like in today's society. Was talking with Jerry yesterday, and last I heard there was like 51 or 52 genders. Now Jerry thinks it's went up again. And I
Yeah, last
already
time I
know
heard it
it's
was like,
insane because we already know there can't be really more than 3. And I'm only saying 3 for the fact that if somebody's born with both sex organs, then they would
that's
be
a
a
third.
morphodite. So therefore, that would be a third, but it can't go any more than that.
Yeah, it can't go anywhere. He's got 3.
So
Pick
I
one.
figured, okay, fine. That tomorrow morning when I wake up, I've decided I'm going to be a palm tree. Okay? And I hope you don't mind. I want to be a palm tree tomorrow, okay? I don't know what Jerry's going to be. I mean, he'll have to decide what he wants to
I
be
don't know.
tomorrow.
I'm not going to be anywhere near the palm tree. Just keep your coconuts away from me.
I didn't say a coconut tree now. I said a palm tree. And I'll be looking for my safe place, okay? In case somebody's got a chainsaw.
I always wanted to find somebody in their safe place just so I can disturb it intentionally.
Oh, well.
Somebody's safe place up.
You'll find me as disguised as a palm tree in my safe place tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on, and
Well,
I'll pull out the weapon. I got my weapon too. Do you got yours?
I don't. Yeah, I got my weapon, but I'm not keeping it in my pants.
Oh no.
Nobody needs to see
I'm
my weapon.
pulling out my other weapon. I have my other weapon right here.
Oh, I got mine. Mine's in the cabinet. Your cheese whiz.
That's it. That's the weapon, and it's fully loaded too.
I bet it is. Well, Louise spoke about, mind control may not work on some, and this is actually true because I believe it was the Brookings. It's either the Brookings Institute or the Rand Institute, that I read when we were talking about the social engineering aspect of people that would, that they expected to basically wake up. And as far as brainwashing goes, and I mean, they weren't discussing so much the whole waking process, but part of how to manipulate that there's 15% that have the ability to not be manipulated. But out of those 15%, there's somewhere between 8 and 10 or 8 and 11%, something like that, that can be, manipulated but not brainwashed. So that basically leaves you to somewhere around 4.5% to 5% that they know they can't brainwash, you know, and we also can't be out there saying, I can't be the one brainwashed because, like we've mentioned before, you wouldn't know if you're brainwashed. And the biggest problem people would have is saying, I could not be brainwashed, because the only way to keep yourself from brainwashed is understanding that you could be brainwashed. Because if you understand that there are influences out there, it's going to protect yourself subconsciously from being brainwashed. But if you don't think those things are out there, and you think you're impenetrable, it's that story who, if you think one of those stories, the kid that thinks they're the toughest kid in school, and they walk up to the wrong person and that they think they could knock out, and next thing you know, they're laying on the ground.
That's correct. That's
So,
correct. Groupthink.
yeah,
Groupthink. Most people go right along with groupthink. I
yeah.
mean, she's totally correct about that.
Well, groupthink is one of the biggest. They try and preach that this groupthink is a good idea. It's not. There's nothing wrong with being an individual. Individual thought is so very important, and to get
It
caught up
is.
in groupthink, and that I think happens, Bill, is with some of these shills that maybe aren't really like MK Ultra, or not really shills. They get caught up in the current meme. All right, this is working. This is what's popular. So I'm going to start thinking that way. I'm going to start promoting things this way, and they're going along with the agenda, whether it's an alternative agenda or a mainstream agenda. It's still groupthink.
It is.
You know.
Regardless of what it's groupthink.
Yeah.
So you got to think with that brain in the jar on the shelf because you can't be your own individual human being, huh?
Yeah.
They want to fit in. That's the problem. Is they're so worried about what other people might think of them. And you know where I get some of my tough skin from that keeps me here when I'm attacked and attacked and attacked? Because I don't give a fuck what you think about me.
Mm. Well, we're all we can all we can all admit to some groupthink. I think to a certain extent. I know that even I go along with groupthink at times. Like normally, when we do this show every Sunday, I'm sitting on my bed in my boxers. But now we got video. I can't do that. So I'm thinking I'm probably, that I can't. I'm going along with, I mean, theory, I should be myself and just be, upstairs lounging and letting the whole world, see me just chilling out half naked. But, I don't want to make anybody sick. So. What are you gonna do? You know, I got kicked off YouTube already. Me naked on YouTube wouldn't last more than like 8/10 of a second.
Oh yeah, that lasts a long time.
Yeah. Although we'd probably get a lot of viewers right away. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how. As long as it's bizarre, crazy, wild, it doesn't always even need the beautiful girl. As long as it's something that's, totally degrading, and I mean, think about some of these videos where the total, it's kind of embarrassing where they have the super overweight woman doing the twerk. and it gets like a million views. I mean, and that's kind of sad out of society that you know, even though it's it's definitely not attractive. Well, there may be some out there that are attracted to it. I don't know, but there could be. But it's something that's kind of degrading. Yet, people can't help. I've even done it. Oh, I can't watch it. I can't watch it. But you're still watching the stupid giant lady doing the twerk. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing what we'll do to entertain ourselves and what people will do to get into the spotlight. You know, just
They're sucked
we've
up
all
into it.
and that's it. And things like that. That's brainwashing. That's doing things like that. That's social engineering. Social engineering is brainwashing. Same freaking thing. Freak show. People still like the circus freak show. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's um, what did um, um, Barnum, P.T. Barnum say? There's a sucker born every minute. And he was famous for his freak shows. You know, he basically owned what his name was, Little Tom, or that little tiny guy, and all that stuff, or Tom Thumb, and he made all his money from the freak show. And like you said, there's a sucker born every minute.
Yeah. People
YouTube
get
proved
off on freaks, don't they?
they do. People get off on freaks. You know,
People
I
love violence too. That's why they go like all these games and wrestling, even though it's fake and phony. It's the idea of the violence. Boxing. They love violence.
they do. And that's something I think is kind of weird. There are some rich people that get into those different things and whatnot. But if you ever been into some rich, wealthy person's house, they tend to actually have a lot of books. I'm not sure whether or not they read it, but I've been to people's houses that had money, and you know, you don't see the TV in the living room, and it's weird. And that's something I have noticed is with wealthy people. Their living rooms are more for meeting or reading or socializing. They're not there to watch TV. They may have a TV off in another side room or wherever else, but you know, for their everyday use, it's not the focal point. In so many houses, well, let's call it a spade a spade. In poor people's house, as soon as you walk in, one of the first things you're going to see is the TV. The TV is always on.
Oh, it's on
I've
from the
noticed it.
time they climb out of bed to time to go to bed.
Yes, yeah, and maybe some people should start to think, well, maybe there's a relationship between that. I mean, the more pro, maybe the wealthy people understand that this stuff is programming people, and they don't want to do that so much to their families. Which is even, and I have another problem and issue with, because apparently they're okay with other people doing that in their families, but not to them. You know, they don't. That's rich people don't want competition. They don't want competition. They need to keep you dumb. Think about this. People. If everybody was so dumb, if society was so dumb, then why do they have to spend billions and billions, and it's probably actually in the trillions when you really look at it, of dollars, dumbing everybody down? People aren't born dumb. They are taught to be dumb.
Exactly.
You know, you know. If people were just so stupid, and when I call people stupid today, it's because they've been dumbed down. But they wouldn't spend so much money dumbing everybody down if everybody was going to automatically be stupid. You know?
They spent a lot of time dumbing people down because you wasn't born dumb. They manipulate people. People will think that they were born gay. Well, there ain't nobody born gay because you wasn't born with a sexual attraction to anybody. You didn't see no baby being born with an attraction, no little 2-year old or 3 or 4-year old with an attraction to some other little kid. It just don't happen. Now, you could be developed that way through the shit we're putting in our bodies. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, the chemicals.
Yeah.
Chemicals. And, people don't understand. That goes back to the Fabians. The Fabians wrote about this, how they're going to, make society gay. That's part of their agenda. It's the agenda, and people don't understand it. The Fabian socialists, look into it. They've been preaching about this. It's the whole LGBT thing, the transgender thing is their shit. It's been passed down, from the Rockefellers to them, and then through the CFR to, all these different institutes, you know, you name it, to the Arc Foundation. There's so much money. I'm talking, if you're really looking to it, I'm talking so many, there's hundreds of millions of dollars invested in the whole trans LGBT shit through these foundations, these NGOs. Not a joke. And then if you add on to the, stuff they're putting in the food, and and I don't think, they talk about how when these water treatment facilities treat the water and put it back in the system, and how they can't get a lot of the medications out, and a lot of times the birth control hormones are not filtered out when they re-put the water in. I don't think that's a mistake. I don't think that's a mistake. Because if you notice, when they talk about the things that somehow make it through the filtration system, like when it comes to the drug part, it's always the pill, the hormone, the female hormones. So why is that the one major thing that's leaking through? You're telling me, if you're Bill Clinton and you accidentally dropped a big bag of crack in the toilet, or, that doesn't get filtered through. But, apparently, the females, that takes the pill and pees and flushes through, it gets through. And number two is, we got to do something about our water. Why we're drinking filtered piss water when we have, and that's fluoridated and everything else. The whole filtration thing is a bunch of bullshit. All right, why don't you filter it and then put it back into the system? Why don't we tap the aquifers where we have tons of water and drink that spring water? They could be pumped. We have enough water in our country that will last far as anybody can even think to, supply the entire nation with clean water continuously. But, it's just not done. It's not done. Not only that, is if we pump it deep enough the right way, and when they're crying about having droughts in California, we just pump them the piss water that's been filtered. you know, you know.
Well, that's just it. You got some places around the world where they have trouble getting clean water, but that's
Yeah.
not here. We got clean water, but we got to go ahead and poison it.
And there's, believe it or not, Bill, and if you really look into it, there's not a place on this earth they can't get clean water. They make it so they can't get clean water. That is a problem. You can go into the driest desert in the world, and if you got the right drills, which they have, because they have no problem drilling out oil, that's even deeper than the water, to, make some money off of. We have the drills to make sure that there's clean water to every part in this world.
Well, that part I would say is totally true, but they're not going to let you have them because they don't want you to have.
Well, look at. Think about a project, how easy it would be. All right, you got some of the driest deserts in the world in Africa. All right. Well, you have the world's largest aquifer in, Argentina. Well, there's a part if we could run wire from coast to coast, we can run some pipes or run some kind of system to pump the water over. but we don't need to because on the other side they already have aquifers there in the southwestern part of Africa, and they just need to pump it to the north. But it's not done. People like Bill Gates rather invest millions and millions in vaccinating, the people of Africa that basically are targeting, black Africans to basically give them diseases and kill them because, Gates family is related to the Huxley family, which is the eugenics family, which, want to kill everybody.
Oh, that's it. That's why they want control of the water. Because if they control the water, then they can use it as a weapon.
Yeah.
And they can get rich off of your need for the water. What do you think? People are totally insane. You got spots where they're saying it's illegal to collect rainwater. No, it's not. Any freaking crazy idiot that says if you collect rainwater, I'm going to fine you, lock you up, kidnap you, lock you up in a cell because or a cage because I kidnapped you because you collected water and we have a right to tell you that. No, they don't. They're a criminal. And when they go to kidnap you, shoot them. Go back to Western days and get out your gun and shoot the super. Sorry, what can I say?
And I don't understand why they can even. This is how stupid I think some people are. Right? They'll listen to people tell them they can't collect rainwater, but in that same part of the country, when it snows, there's no problem collecting the snow. I'm sorry, I may not have been the best student, but I'm pretty sure, those ice crystals that created the snow are basically precipitation.
The last time I looked, unless you've tampered with it, it would turn into water. It would be like my son when he was a child, and I took him from Florida back to Iowa, and he was like 6 years old, 7 at the most, and he'd been in Florida most of his life. And the first snow, his eyes grew big and wide, and he'd run outside to catch the snow. He caught a big flake and come running in the house all excited because he got a flake of snow. And he got about halfway through the house and looked in his hand. It was a little bit of water, no snow no more. And he was all disappointed and says, "Oh, it's water. It melted." And I just started laughing because he was so excited that he had a piece of snow.
I got so much snow here, Bill. It ain't even funny. Too bad I couldn't show a picture. I don't even know how to explain how much snow I got here.
Well, the best way is to go outside, get a tape measure out.
I'm going outside.
I didn't say anytime soon. You might want to wait to just the first day that it gets up to the 30s or something where it feels like summer. And go out there just long enough to put your tape measure before it melts.
It was a poor Blizzy. I took her outside today. I was like, I don't want to say the word out loud because she's right near me, but the OUT word, and we went OUT, and she couldn't make it more than it was probably about 3 or 4 minutes. I mean, her feet were dancing. It was that cold on the ground, so we came running right back in. Even when it looks nice, it's just too cold. Just too cold right now. Too bad. I want it to warm up a little bit.
It's that time of year. Though yeah. I did get my kicks out of Warren.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I did get my kicks out of that. You always know when somebody grows up in a climate that's not used to snow, because they grow up in a climate that's more tropical. And then the weather changes and a freak thing happens and they get an inch or 2 inches of snow, or they get ice on their roads and they're all panicked. And they're shutting down the whole community because we got an inch of snow. Oh no, there's no school. And I laugh.
That was kind of funny. Was it right after we got the bomb cyclone?
Oh yeah, I know, that was great.
All right. I said it in my video. All right, number one, cyclone is a tropical word, and they added bomb in front of it, to really, play off this whole terrorism thing. It's just another fair word because that's NLP, neuro linguistics programming. This is what they did. It's one of those things. Bill finds it all the time. It's where they they give you a whole bunch of great stuff. It sounds so great. It's very uplifting. And they'll also put, something in there intentionally to hit the subconscious to leave fear and worry and panic and all that crap. So, it's the bomb cyclone, and we get the bomb cyclone the other day. And being up in northern Maine, where we get a lot of snow, and we really got a ton of snow, but it didn't stop people from driving around. I had a friend come over that night, late at night.
Oh no!
Early in the morning, the landlord's calling me up, telling me. Well, of course he knows, he knows the stuff that I've dealt with. So he called me up to tell me that he's going to be on the roof shoveling, but he wanted to make sure he told me so I didn't shoot him. Some random guy on the roof, because, everybody's all dressed up for the weather here. So I see a guy in a ski mask on my roof, he was a little bit worried,
I like that. In the summer, we got to watch out for frozen tornadoes.
Yeah, that would surprise me. I could see that. Yeah, I could see that coming. Yeah. Yeah. What are you barking? What are you barking at? Yeah. No, she's on the hunt. Another snowflake must have fell. I don't know. She'll let me know. She has different, barks and groans depending on how close.
She wants to be part of the show.
Oh yeah, she'll just jump in when she wants to. Not, depending on how close somebody's to the house, she'll let me know.
She's letting you know.
No, there's not that. Whatever she hears is not that close. It could be just a moose. Who knows? I know. There's nobody that close yet.
I know she's a roofer. She's talking about roofs.
Roof. Oh no, that was me, Blizzy.
I don't mind having Blizzy on the show.
Blizzy. That might actually be something. Hold on, Bill. What do you got? You got me up for nothing. Hanging in
there. Well, sometimes you have to do this, right? You got to babysit the pet. You never know. He might have somebody outside the door, too.
All right. Oh, we don't have to take the shotgun out yet. She wants attention. You want attention, Blizzy? Is that what you want? Come here. Come on. You can be on the show. Come on. You can be on the show.
Get up there. You can be part of the show.
You come on. Come on.
Just keep your face forward.
She'll just sit in the background.
There you go. You can be part of the show now. There you go. Jerry's protection is with him now.
Yeah, I feel safe.
In case any more trolls come in.
She eats troll. I have taught her how to eat troll.
Yep, she's a troll eater.
She's a good dog.
No, I think we're going to be jumping down the rabbit hole some more, and I'm hoping we find out a whole bunch more, but I can't guarantee it.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Oh my God! No, I don't have any seat. I'm getting fat, Blizzy. Yeah. I mean, thank you. She is a beautiful pup. Thank you. Yeah, that rabbit hole, I'm definitely going to be looking in more because I think it's going to open up a lot of windows. I think it's going to definitely open up a lot of windows to a lot of stuff. I think we're going to find it. This has been one of these little pockets that I've been looking for a while. And, thank Bill for, falling into it. Bringing it to my attention. So hopefully this does, turn out the way I think it is. Because it's already spilt so much good information to us as
Well,
that
I
I'm
wish we could get
really happy
more
about.
people to look for root causes, to look for
Yeah,
the causes of things rather than look at symptoms.
yeah,
Because so many people are hooked up on chasing symptoms, and that's all the further they ever go is symptom to symptom to symptom to symptom. Can you imagine the mechanic fixing your car and it comes in with a symptom of a dead battery? And so I changed the battery out for you. You go home, and a couple days later, the car's towed back in because the battery's dead again. So I'll go ahead and sell you another battery because I don't want to know the cause. I'll just go to the symptom. So a couple days later, you come back in, but wait a minute, this battery has warranty. So I go ahead and change out your alternator. I don't look to see what's causing your battery to be dead. A couple days later, you're back with the dead battery again. So I'll say, oh, it must be a faulty alternator, and I'll put another alternator in, and I'll say, well, I guess I don't really know what the cause is, so I'll change these wires. And rather do the appropriate test to find out what's going on, I'll keep just leading you down the rabbit hole and chasing symptoms.
yeah.
Because that's what people do in today's society. They chase after symptom after symptom after symptom. Now, your
Instead,
mechanics could make a lot of money doing that and never fix your
then
problem.
and they do, and they do. Mechanics are infamous for that.
Yeah,
You know.
and that's correct. There are mechanics out there that know you're dumb and who will do just exactly that.
Mm.
That's the
Yeah.
sad thing about our society. People are greedy, selfish, and don't care who they take.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about it. They just, that was a good thing. I think that's happened to me is realizing how evil today's society is and seeing. I mean, there even have been people that I have been interested to learn more from or watch. Whether they're on YouTube or wherever else, and then end up finding out they're a shell, and that's disappointing. But it's
Yeah,
also, it's something that we have to understand is that this is happening. And I said today, so I was having a conversation once. I explained a situation to somebody about how the shills were doing this and this and that. And explaining the whole system, and I had to step back and say, I know, listen, I know you asked about it, and a lot of times I don't like going too deep in the information because it can be scary, and it can be a sensory overload when people find out when they find out how much is really bullshit. When they when they find out, a lot of people suspect it. I think that's a lot of positions that people are in out there is they suspect that there's so much that's bullshit. But when they actually find out, I mean, wait till people find out Rome wasn't always in Rome.
well,
Yeah,
at least it was a good name, Jerry.
yeah, because it roamed around, right? Is that what you
That's right.
said? Roamed around.
It just roamed right around.
uh, all right, Blizzy. You know, it's so much has been manipulated. It's scary. You know, so much. In a lot of ways, believe it or not, we think our parents and our grandparents were so wise, and some of them were very, very wise, and they understand a little bit of manipulation. But because of the little loophole that we're seeing right now, because to be honest with you, this whole internet thing where we're able to share information so much, I can't foresee that happening for way too long, without some stricter guidelines, because we're in that gap where, like, when the printing press first came out,
We
where the
are.
information, before they were able to jump on and start manipulating everything that came out of the printing press. I mean, in theory, everything that did come out of the printing press was always manipulated, but there was some gaps where before they really took control and dug their hands into how information is shared and how information is printed and everything else, we're in this little hole where information is able to be shared, and we really need to take advantage of it before it's gone. So, we really need to, when we find these interesting points of interest, or information that can be really powerful, because knowledge is power. We need to take advantage of it and learn fast as we can
Well, the
and as much
more
as we can.
knowledge you can gain, the better chances you have of not being brainwashed.
Mm.
Not that you still can't be, but at least the more knowledge you have and the more aware you are, with the combination of knowledge and awareness, you can prevent yourself from being brainwashed.
Yeah, because you understand it's happening.
Exactly.
You know,
But when you don't have the knowledge, the only knowledge you have is what they taught you with the brainwashing system as you grew up. And the rest of your knowledge came from that brainwashing box you have in your living room that you turned on when you got up and you shut off when you went to bed. Well, then you're right where they want you.
and I see another mistake a lot of people I see out there make today, as far as their own consumption of knowledge, and that is, if they see something repeated enough, they accept it as it being self-evident. So, if they see something said by so many different people on Facebook or Twitter or social media or YouTube, they trust that as truth, when what it comes down to is that you have to do your own research. You have to build your own evidence. You have to write down your own evidence. You have to use some logic in your brain to prove something. And you can't just accept something somebody tells you as
Yeah.
truth. Don't even accept what I tell you as truth.
Go look into
Research
it. Go look into it yourself.
it.
Rather than play denial, go look into it yourself. And if you just accept what he says or what I say, that's like accepting what the teacher said to you or what your television set taught to you. But if you just take the stuff that, like what Jerry or I tell you, and go look for yourself, you're going to get a lot more out of it.
Yeah, right there. Haley's talking about Sal Alinsky, and yeah, I think she's right there that it was him that said that. And that was basically a takeoff from was it Stalin, or it could have been Hitler. It was either Hitler or Goebbels, or Stalin. You tell a lie big, you tell a lie often, and you tell it big, and it'll become truth, or some shit like that. I don't remember. I like the one I saw today. The one I saw today, is like I was reading a little bit about Ezra Pound. Of course, Ezra Pound, just like people got to remember, when it comes to artists, and before we had TV and the media that we have today, the big artists were the writers and the painters and poets, and they were all part of the, whatever you would like to call them, the Illuminati. But Ezra Pound was one of them that was a part of that, that club, and he started to talk, and he did a radio show in Italy where he basically outed what was being done. The total takeover society, the New World Order, all that stuff, way back when. I believe it was in like 44 or 47 or somewhere in that era. And what happened is Ernest Hemingway, who was actually in OSS. OSS was the predecessor of the CIA, or not the predecessor, whatever you want to call it. And he was a double agent. He was an English agent, and he was an agent, double agent for, in other words, he was an intelligence agent. All right. And he writes a letter and demands that Ezra Pound be put in jail or hung, I believe it was the correct words. So Ezra Pound, they basically put him in France's version of what would be an MK Ultra hospital. So they put him in a mental hospital for truthing. So, I think a lot of people should, salute Ezra Pound. But one thing he did say before he got locked up is he said, what was it? The problem with modern day wars is the wrong people get killed. And I love that quote. It made me think for a second. Yeah, the wrong people do get killed. We're killing
That's true.
the people that are getting killed are basically. I mean, even if we have soldiers that join from America, they're basically innocent people that are believing in something that is a lie, and the people on the other side basically are in the same situation. So you have two men going out to kill each other over a lie, and they never had a problem with each other before. And they believe the lie, whether it was fed on each side, and they really are both innocent people that are ready to kill each other because of a lie.
Well, that's exactly it. They've done this all across the board, not even with a war. They've done it with the genders, they've done it with the races. They teach you a lie that divides you.
Mm.
Divide and conquer.
And they master that.
Yeah. And so we got all this division. We got the women and men fighting one another. We got the blacks fighting the whites fighting the blacks, the Mexicans blaming us, we're blaming the Mexicans. Now we're blaming the Muslims blaming us, and it just goes on and on and on. And then Jerry's right. And you go to war based on a lie, and you go over and you kill innocent people, and then people are fighting back against you because they're taught their lie, and you're taught your lie, and the people who taught you the lies are sitting there laughing at your dumbness.
Mm.
And I hate to
Yeah.
say it that way, but really, they're up at the top laughing their butts off, watching you kill each other for their own agenda. So we're worthless cattle, worthless users, eaters, and feeders. We're nothing to them. We're garbage.
Yeah. Four World Peace said it right. The families that sit in the background. I mean, they may not watch TV in their living rooms, but why do they need it? We're their entertainment.
Yeah,
Are the what we'll fall for? The things they can get us to do, the way we can, the insanity that we've become because of their manipulation. We are their entertainment.
basically, yeah.
Yeah, kind of scary.
It is because their entertainment, where the masses out here's entertainment's their TV set or their beer and their sports game. They're watching the Super Bowl or whatever football. They got their entertainment. Meanwhile, the elite have their entertainment watching you kill one another off, watching you go out on the street and hold your picket sign. And some of these idiots are so bad. They're holding a picket sign because they don't want freedom of speech.
They've been kind, MK Ultra, you know. It's the elite getting to a problem they may encounter before they encounter it. That's what that situation is. You know, they
That's it.
beat. They understand what problems are going to arise, so they create psychological operations in a different direction or another thing, or whatever. That's what Antifa was all about. I think I said this before. They got Antifa because they fought the police looking like idiots. They were able to drive all the right wing, people that normally have guns and, or wanting freedom and constitution to support the police. When it comes down to it, we we don't we shouldn't have people supporting the police because the police are the ones protecting, the corporate interest.
They
So
are.
I'd love to, have great police and all that stuff, and I have great police where I live, but I live in a very, small, strange area. But the majority of our big cities are not like that. The
No.
majority of our big cities, the police are the threat. But because they got a bunch of idiots going around looking like idiots while they're screaming and yelling at the police, doing bad things with the police, it made the police look good and got people to support them. You know,
Well, that's just it. You got some good police, but if you want to find the good cops, you got to get into the small hick town that's in the middle of nowhere. that don't even have a stoplight, then you might find a good cop. And I said might.
Yeah, might.
And remember that might word because that's how rare it is. The majority of them are all, well, revenue collectors, thugs, bullies, criminals with a badge, and it goes on and on. And we all just listen. We don't fight back. We just bend over and we listen and we take it. If they come to your house and tell you that that rain barrel you have outside was collecting water and we're going to have to fine you, you're going to, oh no, and you're going to go around down and give them your money. You'll let them tell you what freaking you got to pay taxes on your house, even if you paid it off, because you're not allowed to own it. And if you don't pay them their taxes, they'll send their thugs down, and their thugs will come with badges and guns, and they will throw you out of your own property just because they're following their little orders, because they're great order followers. And then you have the homeless people. They'll go in there and rip up the homeless people's tents, throw them off that vacant land that's been empty for 20 years. Tell them it don't belong to them, even when it don't belong to the people saying it don't belong to. They won't let them take their tents because they want to make sure they run you out as far as they can run you. But yet they bring the problem onto the majority of the people when they outsourced your jobs, when they crashed your dollar down to the point that you can't afford to live off your dollar anymore. You got to have 2 people, 3 people, 4 people working, depending on where you're at, in one home just to meet the bills. Or you can't meet the bills. Then you wind up on the street. There's just so much corruption going on. I'd love to replace the tool and get everybody to accept a new tool that was created by us. But I know that if we could ever get that off the ground, then we'll have the criminals come gunning for us because they couldn't have that.
Well, I mean, it is a little depressing. I mean, but it, that's one thing I've found is, I mean, it's part of the wake processing. People do go through a depression when you really understand what's going on and when you think about what's going on and when you discuss what's going on. But you have to get past that and understand that you became a free person by understanding these things. And that could be very liberating. I tell people all the time, you know, some of basically the happiest I've ever been is since all this shit happened. You know, because it freed me. It freed me. You know, I mean, when I had all my stuff stolen and everything else is angry and every man is everything, and I'm still gonna somehow figure out how to kick these people's asses because they deserve it. But it was a good thing. It made me a better person. It made me a happier person. I feel liberated. I don't feel tied to so much stuff, caring about stuff. You know, and you have to get above that. And one thing I've thought about that's actually made me happier too is coming to the point where a lot of people, maybe it's just me, but they've gone through a life where they've had people they saw in society that they thought were more important. They had the local police and the local politicians and the local business people. But now that we're finding out that all these people are nothing but shit, evil, disgusting turds that are worthless scum, it makes me better that I'm a better person. I mean, I may not have the education. I may not have the fancy car. I may not have, all this stuff. But to me, I know I'm a better person because I'm not a scumbag like these people. I
There
don't,
you go.
and let me tell you something. Something me and Bill came across today when we were researching. Let me tell you something. As far as child abuse goes, there was no more evidence that you could possibly have found. It was proof that it was that this shit was going on. That there were psychologists mentally and physically being involved in people's trauma. There was beyond the proof. So when you realize
Yeah.
all these people that were these psychiatrists, these doctors, and all these people are supposed to be protecting us are nothing but shit. Uh, you know, there is that part of you that says, "Hey, I'm a better person than them."
Well, yeah, that's true because If you got a troubled child, you send your child off to get help. Most likely, the help they're going to get is going to be abusing them even further and worse than you could ever even think of.
I got to switch here. I'm gonna have to leave my. Can you still hear me, Bill?
Yep.
All right. I was losing power. There might be a little bit of feedback now, but I can't have the headphones in because I got to plug a thing. Because I don't have any of that fancy rich people equipment. I don't even know if I'm getting juice. Let me see.
Well, I hear you. I think they
Yeah.
hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting juice. All right. As long as you can still hear me. You know, move that a little bit closer. Like, can't plug both things in at the same time. You know, doing the show on my phone.
Well, he's got his fancy invention in there.
Yeah, I'm using my fancy invention that I built to hold everything up, but you know.
I mean, some people might have accidentally saw his fancy invention during our first test.
Yeah, we were testing.
And I mean, we were doing a test, and this is before they updated Skype on me and messed up the whole platform. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And we had it all tested. We were testing it. And we were freezing. Okay. And well, Jerry got up there and showed you his fancy invention because we wasn't planning on people coming. Hey, look, they're doing a live show. And so they really got nonsense, and I wasn't leaving that up because that was total nonsense because we wasn't doing a live show. We were testing to try to get it to where we could do what you see us doing tonight. Then when we had it all worked out and all the kinks all worked out, it was all great, and we were planning on the show tonight, well, yesterday Skype was like, I got a joke for you, and they really had joked me all right. They forced the update down my throat, changed my whole platform on Skype completely around, and now things I used to have ain't there no more, don't exist, just like adding Jerry. That don't exist no more. There is no adding Jerry. Now you invite Jerry. So I invite Jerry. But when I invited Jerry, it automatically put Blog Talk Radio on hold. So even though I already had Blog Talk there and I wanted to add him to it, nope, that wasn't allowed no more because we updated it. So now tomorrow I'm going to play and I'm going to get Jerry here and we're going to play around and keep playing around to figure out how we can bring other people in and not put somebody else on hold.
Yeah.
And because of that update, that glitched the very beginning of the show. Then when I thought I had it worked out because it already glitched it, I literally had to stop the live feed, close the program I use for the live feed, and reopen it to get us here tonight because it messed everything all up. See, if I'd known that, we could have done this yesterday after the update, but I didn't know that. We played with it yesterday and figured out how to get us back into the program, which we did, like you see us now. But we didn't realize when I took to Blog Talk that that was just going to mess everything right up.
Well, you know, I was just seeing here, Bill. They were talking about Q, and you know, I wanted to say something about that because this is where I have a problem with a lot of people when they believe some of this stuff, whether it's Snowden or WikiLeaks or Q or Anonymous, or just your average person that you may suspect is a shill. Let's take Q. Computers, supposedly some Q, just like Anonymous, some hackers or whatever. If they're so genius and they're hacking, they got all this information, they can do all this stuff, then why don't they tell you what CIA agent was responsible for bringing this to Sandy Hook? What person was responsible for that part? Get them to admit that nobody died in Sandy Hook. They won't talk about issues that are so freaking obvious.
Yeah.
And that should be a dead giveaway. If they won't touch the issues that are so freaking obvious, then it's a dead giveaway they're a show. You know, if they're still supporting the idea that 19 hijackers with box cutters, you know, flew into the World Trade Centers and brought them down, why would you believe anything else they have to say?
That's it. That's it.
There are no contradictions in nature, therefore it's a contradiction. So you need to either do more research or, if it's blatant like that, it's most likely bullshit or is bullshit because it's a contradiction. So, you know, when you're seeing these people out there, if there's a contradiction in what you know to be true, they're a shill. And even if they're not to the mass public, it's okay if it's okay, just that they're a shill to you. Because if you know something to be self-evident to yourself, and and you should, if you're going to know something to be self-evident, have done the research and done legitimate logical thinking to make sure that something that makes sense and is very feasible as an idea, as a thought, as something, as a belief. But if there's a contradiction like that, you got it. Boom. They're a show. They're bullshit. So
Well, they are.
a lot of these people out there, whether they're Q or any of these other psyops, if they're refusing or not, or dancing around and not giving people what the real shit is, they're bullshit.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. I mean, I
It,
don't have a, I don't have a college degree. I went to college. Me and Bill, if we can find out the information that we can find out, some secret, top secret hacker that can give you all this secret information should be able to give you the secret information on basic things that we've already seen. And if they're not doing it, that's a contradiction, and you need to say, I'm not listening to them anymore. I'm not going to fall for it.
that's it. That's it. And there's a couple other things you can go by too. If they agree with it, we should never boycott that certain country.
Fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
that certain country YouTube don't want us talking about. That we should never boycott that place. My answer is definitely boycott it.
The country that ISIS somehow dances all around but never goes to,
Yep,
unless
exactly.
they need medical help, and then they go there.
And then you have the other very obvious one. If you can't talk about that JEW word, you know, and if you pay attention to your shills, they will never touch that country we're not allowed to boycott, and they
Oh yeah.
won't talk about that JEW word. They will dance around it, hop around it, skip around it, jump over it, but they won't acknowledge it.
I'll say it, man. I think we should blow the. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of innocent people there, but at the point we are in the world today, if they haven't woken up and gotten the hell out, make sure Palestine's safe, and then blow the rest of that place right off the map.
I would agree with that. And leave Iran alone. Iran's not caused no
Yeah.
problems to nobody. We set them people up.
I mean, look at their name. Iran. They ran. They didn't stay in. They ran.
They haven't
Man.
started a war in forever. Okay, they've left them said they leave other countries alone and they take care of their own business. They're not a threat to anybody. But see, they take care of their people and they want what's right for their people. So they're a threat to the sick people who think that everybody else should be blah blah blah. I mean, we set them up. Russia and the United States gave them their nuclear program. Then we didn't tell the rest of the world we gave them their nuclear program. And then we'd say, oh, look, they got nukes after we gave it to them.
The more I'm finding about something, the majority of these people, I honestly believe, I mean, because it's pretty much widely known that we've always been friends with Russia on the back end in the secret societies. I believe, when we talk about, Edward Bernays and being hired by the United Fruit Company, and then how they overthrew the Guatemalan government, we saw sequentially, Middle American, Central American, and South American country basically get overrun by our intelligence agency. I believe when you're looking at, like, between French, English, and American intelligence agencies and German intelligence agencies and Russian intelligence agencies, which they're basically on our side. They just pretend to be not. I believe they pretty much wrapped up the rest of the country. There's been a lot of changes. People are talking about how Taiwan used to be a good spot to retire, and there was a lot of now all of a sudden it's a total dictatorship that and we know how India they've been experimenting with no currency and all these other social engineering experiments going on there. I think they pretty much have the whole world wrapped up to a certain extent, and a lot of what we're seeing is just eugenics, just straight
Yeah,
eugenics. I mean, it's the other side knows they're going to be the boogeyman. There's probably one or two countries out there that that have been trying to hide the fact that they want to fight back because they don't want to get totally wiped out. But there's probably a few countries out there that we don't have as much influence in. But and I'm not saying it's all controlled under America. I'm saying there's between the westernized and northern easternized countries, I think they got the whole world wrapped.
yeah.
Honestly, I think they have. I think they know it too.
Well, we got that, and then we were talking a little bit yesterday about the dollar. The dollar, magnificent U.S. dollar, has just been floating in thin air for years now. Okay, years and years, just sitting there floating in the air with nothing to back it. And we already know the new superpower is China. We already know that they've already got the currency. They are the new superpower. So, like I was talking with Jerry, I don't ever think they're going to actually just outright crash the dollar, because that would cause a whole lot of people that are not wanting to wake up. That would make a lot of people that are fake truthers suddenly become real truthers, and a lot of people would be so angry. So, I think what they're going to do is they're going to let China go ahead and back the US dollar. And you won't know it because they'll keep deflating the dollar to make it worth less and less. They just won't crash it. China will actually take over the currency and back the dollar with their currency to manipulate us, and you'll still think you have your dollar when your dollar's being backed by China's funds. Like we used to back our dollar by the gold, and Tricky Nicky took the gold away from the dollar. Think about that. So now China backs the US dollar to keep it floating. Or how else would it be still floating?
Sorry about that, Bill. My charger wasn't charging. I had to switch chargers.
That happens.
That happens.
He's right here, he left for a minute. He's back.
I'm back. That's crazy. I had a full charge. My phone should have lasted that long. It should have lasted 2 hours. It usually does. I don't know why it was burning up so much. Why it's running so hot tonight. You know?
Oh, it's this live stream,
YouTube be sucking. YouTube be crawling through my phone and sucking my juice. Yeah, great. Lovely. Uh,
But yeah, that's the way I feel about the dollar. I think that China's going to back the dollar. They
I think
probably
they're.
already are. You probably don't even know it. China's probably already the reason the dollar's still floating.
Hey, that's what the conclusion that me and Bill came to is because we got to look at this. Whoever's floating this dollar is behind a lot of what's going on today. And with the gold exchange, the new gold exchange being started in China, just prior to when we probably should have had a collapse, then it that could have been the perfect place for for them to back the dollar. I mean, they could float it with that new exchange. It's something to back it and keep it up and just keep on processing into more debt into China. Because here's the thing is, if we're floating so much, floating means they're creating debt. Creating debt means there's somebody that owns the debt. Who owns the debt? There's new debt. You know. I also looked at it as, all those trillions that was it $23 trillion that went missing. All right, well, what if they took those trillions and put it in the market in China? In other words, you know, to secretly continue our monetary system, they could have stole all this money that we had, invested it in China to have America buy their own debt, through another entity in itself. So they would be able to continue with the dollar while it actually being backed by China, but
Yeah.
still appearing to be ours
Yes.
because it was our money that, bought the debt, but it's backed by China. So in
And
other
I
words,
think that's exactly what he's saying. I think,
yeah,
dude, I
I
mean, I'd have to say, in my
absolutely right.
feelings, is that's what you're seeing going on.
Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't make sense that it's floating like it is. It shouldn't be
No.
unless something like that happened.
As bad as it is, it should have already crashed a long time ago.
Yeah,
And it just keeps floating and floating.
yeah.
And the way they designed our currency, the dollar over here, there's no way it would still be floating. So I'm thinking, that's about the only way I can think of what Jerry and I just said is that's the reason you're seeing the dollar not crashing because I think they understand if they just crash the dollar overnight, there's going to be a whole lot of people that are going to suddenly wake up and there's going to be a whole lot of angry people coming after them and they don't want that.
We actually need to go after them. I know. I mean, that's one big thing of why I want to chase these leads that me and Bill went working on. Man, is my desire. It's been my goal. My New Year's resolution was to put somebody in jail, that has been involved in one of these false flags. So one way or another, I want to back them in corner, get them in court where they can't turn a blind eye to it. Do something, and I'm going to at least try. I
Yeah.
mean, every year, a couple times a year, whatever it is, I want to do something, that's actually a change or something more than just bitching about the current Trump policy or the,
Oh,
Hillary
definitely.
Clinton, I mean,
And for these
it's,
idiots out there to think Trump is somehow the good guy who's going to rescue us, get over it. This guy's not a good guy. He's not
yeah.
going to rescue you. If he's a good guy at all, he's right off of Child's Play, and his name is Chucky.
He's not even talking about the right issues that would rescue us. So how is he rescuing, or how would he? I mean, there's nothing. He's doing everything the opposite of what it would take to be doing to actually help America out in the right direction. Because
Yeah.
here people don't understand. We can get a million new jobs, but because China may be investing by basically buying our country, that they could create jobs that may look like American jobs, but it's only because they're backing it.
Well,
You know,
Holly's not friends with Hillary. They're cousins. They're family.
like I said before, I mean, the two best friends there, Chelsea Clinton and what is it? And Ivanka Trump there, or whatever the heck her name is. They're best friends. They've been best friends. They were both
Yeah,
like major hints to each other. I mean, they go on vacations together. Trump. She was sleeping at the White House, hanging out with Chelsea before her dad even got into the race. Remember Jared Kushner worked for Obama. People forget that. People forget that. They talk shit about Kushner and this and that. He never stopped working in the White House. He was working for Obama. Then Trump hires him, and he's still working in the White House.
exactly.
When Benjamin Netanyahu visits America, he stays at the Kushner house and has repeatedly. Kushner's talking about how he's had to give up his bed for Benjamin Netanyahu when he was younger. The families are friends. You don't get much closer than that. You know? Trump had what is that? Trump Towers. in his own apartment had Zeus painted on the ceiling. That what kind of Christian paints Zeus on his ceiling? Or Apollo? What the fuck? I'm sorry, you people out there that think he's all Christian and shit. You might be stupid.
That would be correct. The same Jews always running the show. The same
Yeah,
Jews as always been. They got their hands in everything.
they got their hands in all the shekels.
That's right. I think we're going to change the new dollar to shekels.
Shekels.
Because after all, if you got enough shekels, you can melt them down and you can turn them shekels into shackles.
That's all they are, is shackles. Shekels are shackles.
That's right. You know what them shackles are for, right? Slaves?
It is what it is.
That's it.
Mm.
Well, I'm hoping on our next show up that we'll have all the kinks worked out and we won't have
Don't
a
want
dead
the show to be
spot at
too
the
kinky.
beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get better each time.
Hopefully.
With this high dollar equipment we're using, You see Jerry's blue screen back there? It's got red, white, and blue on it, and it's upside down.
My Kmart flag.
That's an awesome blue screen, isn't it? Oh.
You know the worst part? The worst part, like if I was like to ask, people for donation to get the double connection or something like that for the phone, I'd get ridiculed. And it's like, but I'm happy with what I got. I don't need all this. Me and Bill can figure out how to jerry rig just about anything. We
That's
don't
right.
need the high dollar stuff.
And
We'll
his
figure
name
it out.
is, now listen, his name is Jerry, and he has a right to rig anything he wants.
Yes. And if I want to rig my phone under a cigarette pack while it's charging, because that's what I'm doing, I'll do it.
And you'll never know the difference, neither.
No. Yes, Blizzy. I see you. I see you. All right. Well, we might as well say bye and everything. That way, I can. My phone doesn't have to. I can't get another cigarette until I get my.
That's it. Jerry needs to charge his devices. And we'll be back here.
It's fine. I'm on the other one. I can't switch.
I'll be back here tomorrow night for TFL topics with the female again. She'll be back with me tomorrow night. Okay? So we'll go with that. So I'll be back up here tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Standard. And that'd be 6 o'clock Mountain Time and 5 o'clock way out there in California and Washington and things like that. So with that being said, I guess tomorrow night, guys, we'll be back. And Jerry and I'll be back next week on Sunday. Unless something comes up in the middle of the week. But we're going to have to do a test because we got to fix the glitch that Skype created for us. So
we may have one of those during the week.
So we might have this test thing going on. You might find that happening. But other than that, you all have a good one.
Good night, everybody.